The ninth season of Consider This is brought to you in part by From the Top, a national program showcasing the musical talents of young people. From the Top can be heard on KVNO Classical 90.7 each Sunday at 5 p.m.
Consider This, a program of issues and information behind today's news. Once again, from the campus of the University of Nebraska at Omaha, here is your host, Carol Schrader.
Hello, everyone. This is my last time to say, and welcome back to UNO. It has been my pleasure to be doing this show for 8.5 years. This is our 297th show, and it's only appropriate that we end the way we began. Our guest then for the first show was Dr. Nancy Belk, the new at the time Chancellor of the University of Nebraska at Omaha. And Nancy, welcome back.
I'm delighted to be here, Carol.
It's just been no time at all, has it?
It hasn't, and we look the very same.
Speaking of that, let's take a look back. Hello and welcome to the first edition of a new news and public affairs interview show. It's a production of KYNE TV, Channel 26. This is at UNO, as you well know, and 24 years ago I did my first television interview ever at Channel 26, and I'm very glad to be back. My guest for this first show is the first woman chancellor of the University of Nebraska at Omaha, Dr. Nancy Belk. And you know, they said, could you do Nancy Belk for the first show? And I said, that was precisely my thinking.
Well, I'm delighted to be here with you and pleased to have met you a couple of times before now.
Right. One of the things. Well, that was 9 years ago, and we're here now, and a lot has happened, particularly with UNO. Let's start with, you came on board, you were selected, and one of your, it was kind of a mandate, was to, of course, be a great chancellor, but to bring residence halls to the campus. So that's one thing, and we'll talk about how that's been, but what were your expectations?
Truly, I knew UNO had the potential to build on its great strengths as a metropolitan university, and that's what we've done. And my expectations were to get housing, which we did, to increase the perception that we are a first-choice university you go to because of the academic quality of our programs. And one other thing that was really on my front horizon, our graduation rate was not what it ought to be. And so I can remember saying at my first convocation address, we've got to improve and increase our potential of helping students succeed. And well, we've done that.
And how have we done that? Because that's where the rubber hits the road. You know, when it comes to graduating students to face the world and make this a better place.
Well, and as an example, we were at a 21% graduation rate, of which I can remember saying, I'm embarrassed by that, and our entire faculty and staff should be. And we've taken that up to 36%. And that's above the national average of graduation rates for metropolitan universities.
That's a 175% increase, roughly. My math is even in the ballpark.
Well, and what's so exciting about it is we've done it through conscious efforts of students helping students, faculty mentoring students, developing an early warning system so when students were not performing well in a class, we could get intervention and help. So it really has been the conscious efforts of everyone on this campus, and we owe a big thank you to our faculty, staff, and students.
There, you know, a few years into your tenure, you had people trying to do all these things that you had laid out, that you'd met with them, that you'd all sort of come on board to the same kind of vision. And then we had extreme budget crisis. The state was in budget crisis. And the university faced, system-wide, faced really tough decisions. And you had to make the decisions, or at least sign off on the decisions. You let everybody sort of make the decisions on some of these things.
Well, one thing I think I should emphasize first, Carol, I did have some time at the beginning of my tenure here to develop a strategic planning approach to revisit where we were and what our goals were. And I don't think the campus knew how serious I was about strategic goals. And I have to repeat them. We have only 3: to focus on students, have the highest academic quality in all of our programs, and to engage with the community as a metropolitan university. And not only did, as a group process, the entire campus participated, so did the community, our alumni, students. And then each unit rolled out how they were going to contribute to those three goals of a student focus, ratcheting up that academic quality, and how people thought about us. And of course the partnerships with the community are legendary, starting with the Peter Kiewit Institute and going across all the campuses. So now we do have that plan in place such that when budget cuts do hit, you have a map and a guideline. You don't cut your top priority programs. You look at where you can do vertical cuts rather than cutting across the top and making everything mediocre. So we had a leg up, and you're right, the units worked very hard and strategically thought through where they were going to cut.
And you roughly had the units in place from the strategic planning.
Yes, we
I mean,
did.
you made some adjustments, but they were roughly there and
That's
kind of
right.
used to working with each other. So what, we still have the same, I guess, standout programs that we had when you came in. I think, I mean, I know I would leave one out. You would know them all. I know our College of Business Administration, Peter Kiewit, College of Public Affairs and Community Service, and then all the other programs, you know, just ratcheting it up. Have we filled the void that you maybe saw here in certain areas? You know, brought some up.
Well, you're right. We have long been known for the programs in public affairs and community service, our public administration graduate programs and doctorate, criminal justice graduate programs and doctorate. I mean, ranked nationally as just about as good as it gets. And we've been able to continue that forward movement. And then in teacher education, we also have to mention we educate many, many teachers for the state and have a very good reputation there. And I think we've continued to improve. We've looked at how we better serve students, how we give them hands-on experience, whether it's in the schools or whether it's with our service learning projects or our internships. And of course, Peter Kiewit not only was just getting started, we broke ground, I think my second or third day here, and we took it to not only graduating bachelor's and master's students, but we now have a PhD in information technology. And so that clearly put that on the national market along with our other very well-known programs.
When you started the residence hall, the first residence hall project, and then of course we had, the campus took on a whole different feel, a whole different look. You know, we had been growing buildings, but we hadn't been growing life on the campus. And it's people that come into town, I bring them. I said, you have to drive through this. And then as we now have the South Campus, the old Exarban property, we have residence halls there, and then of course the Peter Kiewit Institute, and then First Data, and it's just taking a life of its own. There'll be what they're going to call it, what, University Village or something down there where they're going to have shops, and I don't know what the name of it.
Exarban Village.
Exarban Village, I guess that's more appropriate. And this is like a vision that I couldn't even imagine as a student here. Could
Well,
not.
I can remember saying, you will not recognize the campus after we get our first residence halls. And having done it at a couple of other places, to go from a totally commuting campus. And incidentally, I always have to say, we still serve commuting students as a metropolitan university.
Absolutely.
And we want to continue doing that well. But those first 560 beds changed the character, made it more of a 24-hour campus. More study groups came on campus, classes were changed, and you just almost have to experience that renaissance. And after the first round of residence halls, it wasn't long before we got Scott Hall in conjunction with the Peter Kiewit Institute. And then shortly after that, we opened Scott Village. So you have University Village, about 560 students on the North Campus, and then Scott Hall, which has the front desk and the more traditional dining facilities, really good food. A lot of people enjoy going down there, and that's connected to a conference center that serves the entire community and beyond. And then when we added the 484 beds at Scott Village, that really just gave us a critical mass. And you're right, the South Campus has grown with all kinds of development of the Scott Technology Transfer Center. And you know what's happening next? The development of the South of Center Campus.
That's a whole new thing, and the university's made headlines, most of them really good, regarding expansion, and that was a conscious choice. Obviously, the University of Nebraska Foundation purchases the land
Right.
generally, and then just sort of to have it there. But that was sort of a quantum leap again. We've leapt over Pacific, now leaping past Center Street, which if you don't live in Omaha, you don't
That's a
realize the
long way
significance
south,
of
yeah.
it.
Well, when people were first talking to me, and I've been talking with some of the major civic leaders ever since I came about growth and development, we need to be thinking 100 years out. And clearly, this is going to be a large metropolitan university. As Omaha becomes larger, so will the university. And not only will we serve the metropolitan area, but as our programs are better known nationally and internationally. And we ought to mention our 29 sibling universities around the world. So as we grow, there needs to be opportunity land. And we had a wonderful opportunity as the Exarban Future Trust was looking at how to capitalize on what had been the Exarban property where the grandstand was and a lot of other buildings. And that's just south of where we are now. And I can remember being asked by the Exarban Future Trust, why would you need more land? You've gotten an additional 71 acres south of Pacific. Well, that's all earmarked. The master plan has that built out, and we're so fortunate that Walter Scott is continuing to build and develop and look at the strengths that the Peter Kiewit Center brings to business and industry. So we have the Scott Technology Transfer Center. We've got 3 buildings there that are fully leased. So where do you go next? The Exarban Village will be a retail mix. It will have opportunities that'll give exciting things for students to do: cinemas, cafes, ground floor retail, second floor business research opportunities. So that takes us to south of Center. And for, at least 8 years, there's been talk that when Chili Greens no longer ceases to be a golf course, it would be logical for UNO to have that. And we're looking at how that builds out. An athletic complex has been talked about for some time, because our fields that are on the South Campus now are slowly being built over, as we knew they would be.
And a lot of that area around that is in a floodplain, and so there will still be green. The beauty of it is that there will still have to be green space, and it won't be, built up to the point where the interstate goes simply into more buildings. There's some beauty of having, and there's some limitations on what you can build, but they're all things that you will need.
Well, when you look at the land we have, and it's another 54 acres for Chili Greens, and then the property you were talking about that the foundation was acquiring for us, the Future Trust was able to work out an arrangement for us to purchase through the foundation Chili Greens. But the acreage in question was another 17 acres, part county land and part private enterprise that the Exarban Village and University really needed as a part of the front door to the village. And so it's ironical that the 17 and 54 totals 71, the same number we have on the campus south of Center, strictly coincidental. And so on that additional acreage, we are really looking at long-term creative uses for it. And yes, there'll be green spaces, but you can build on a floodplain. It's just a matter of money.
Yeah.
So there are some places that are more logical on Chili Greens, perhaps for a future round of housing. We have the next phase of housing that we have an RFP, a call for proposals out right now, and that housing will be on the North Campus, so if we can go from the south back to the north. And everyone asks me, why not put all the new housing on the South Campus or even south of Center? Well, if you do that, you're almost creating a commuting village, because that's a pretty long haul, and we've been working with Urban Design Associates, UDA, and that's the same design firm that the Exarban Village, the Future Trust, brought in to look at how you design the whole area. And so green space will certainly be a part of it, but best use of space.
Well, and integrating that living, if people have gone to an urban campus like this one, a commuter campus, and then see, as we mentioned earlier, the character change of having people you know, living there, eating. I mean, just and the walking, not all the driving. You know that you can walk to within certain parts of the campus.
Well, if you go on a walking appointment with me, about 3 miles, we could walk all the way down to the center campus, but that's just not the way students tend to do. It's easy to walk through Elmwood Park. But even the South Campus, we find we need to shuttle students back and forth to our current South of Pacific.
But the
Peter
shuttle is
Kiewit
a lot
conference.
different than of just more and more
Right.
cars. It's become a lifestyle here. Is catching the shuttle. This is now, always was an urban university, even when it was the University of Omaha. But the perception of it has changed incredibly. How would you consider the perception of UNO in the time you've been here? We know what it sort of went through as being sort of a, you know, kind of a step sibling to Creighton, to the university in Lincoln, the campus in Lincoln. It is no longer like that, but how would you describe how it's changed just in the time you've been here?
Well, we are now a campus of first choice of about 90% of our students. And we are so pleased that they are choosing UNO, and when we do surveys of why, again, it goes back to the quality of the academic programs. So first and foremost, I think we've come into our own because of academic program quality, and that the students are choosing us as first choice. And we will expect that to continue. Also, I think what's going to continue is as we build out, as Exarban Village gets done, as there's more infrastructure for students. That was another reason we weren't ready to just build on the South Campus. There was really no campus life for students yet. You've got your library, your health services, student center, where we are, that give students a sense of being. And as we get the village, and as we get additional business industry research, working relationships with Stratcom, we're going to have a lot of people from the community coming and working on campus as well as students. And that's why housing is part of the Exarban Village is going to be for young professionals who are here working with the kind of programs that UNO is growing and developing. So it really is going to be that metropolitan university that engages with the community. We've always been metropolitan located.
Right.
But being located in a metropolitan area doesn't make you that engaged university that partners with the community, that has internships more than all the others in the state put together. And you know, we want to keep our best and brightest. And if the student has a successful internship, it's over a 90% chance they'll stay here.
Someone's got their claws,
Right.
and it's easy to stay if you see that there's a future. Civic leaders have, I think, taken in your tenure, and starting with Del Weber's before more, and then to a certain degree to previous chancellors, but they seem to be really taking it on as their university. One of a couple in town, but you know, they talk about it, they brag about it.
Well, and I would hope they would. And first, we have to say they have really helped us become what we are, because we have a lot of private money that have come in to partner across all units on campus, and especially the Peter Kiewit Institute. Now, I was especially pleased when Mayor Fahey was on our campus giving his State of the University address. And I have written down what I was most impressed with that he said. I'm proud to be at the University of Nebraska for this special presentation of my State of the City address. This great university, the flagship of the system, in fact, if not in name, educates a tremendous number of people, teachers, engineers, and contractors, business executives, and public servants, who are the backbone of our wonderful city. Now, isn't that a great quote that the mayor was saying just this year, as he has observed the changes that have happened, and he's quoted in other speeches how significant the housing piece is.
The housing piece, the whole education picture in the city of Omaha, the part that UNO is playing, and other entities are finding their way up to the plate. Metropolitan Community College, which has, you know, articulation agreements with us, so that someone that maybe doesn't have the confidence to start a four-year program could start there and get some courses. Education is really the key to keep making this city grow.
And you mentioned Metro Community College. That's one of our largest feeders, and we're very proud of the partnerships there. It's not just you can transfer credits. We have agreements where program by program, and the student who can get a good start at a community college and take a college-bound curriculum, we will have a good chance of graduating them.
If you go online, you see how that curriculum's actually spelled out and worked with UNO in terms of the agreement that they came to. So I mean, it doesn't just happen in a void. So what now, Nancy Belk? What now, UNO? What now, Nancy Belk and UNO? What do you see ahead? You've always got something going on up there.
Well, you're always thinking that 25-year window, that 100-year window, and I think we're going to just see really a metamorphosis as we continue to go south. And as the housing comes on, we're going to continue to bring in more partners. And it's not just for profit, it's not for profit business as well, where we do a lot of our work with service learning. So we will be growing our areas of expertise where we're known certainly for the metropolitan area and beyond. And I think you always have to keep looking for growth. And just as now we have the 71 acres that gives us some opportunity land, we will need to continue to look and think creatively as the university will need to expand even further.
The entire university system, though, has financial challenges given just the demands that are going to be made on the state budgets. Medicaid, K-12 education is facing crisis. That makes it incumbent upon the leaders of the 3 state campuses, university campuses, to go outside to get help. Will that keep us independent enough?
I think it will. Universities have long been supported by funds other than state. Look at the entire private university network. And you used to think private universities were the only ones that had to do these major fundraising campaigns.
No more.
And certainly not. And the University of Nebraska is going to be starting another major fundraising campaign that our president will be announcing in a year or so. And as we look at the importance of the private funding, the increased partnering, formal partnerships with a variety of business and industry, we still are going to keep the academic core. We're still going to focus on the quality. And I find that the business partners we work with understand that. They understand the need that they want highly employable students. They understand our need to make sure we educate them with an independent interest, if you will. We're teaching our citizens to be thinking, problem-solving individuals, and they're going to have to be lifelong learners. They're always going to have to be acquiring new information. And just think how much more information there is available now with so much online and web access. We're going to have a whole new generation, and we're going to be a leader in that high-tech direction.
Well, when you come and you take a course here, they put the criteria for grading out. We have about 30 seconds. How does Dr. Nancy Belk grade herself? What are her criteria?
In terms of criteria, we have met what my goals were for now, and the next 10 years are going to be even more significant as the face of this university changes.
Are you tired of coming to the campus in the morning? Do you still
I
get
love to come. There's nothing more exciting except maybe graduation. I get goosebumps every time I do a graduation. It's a whole new set of graduates.
You're like waiting in the starting gate to go out there on that stage and look at that sea
I've
of faces.
probably done 250 commencements as a part of a stage party, as a dean in a past life, provost, etc. But that's still that adrenaline rush. There are those new graduates and those families, and they are so proud to be UNO alumni.
Well, I am proud to have been able to know you here, and I'm sure that we will continue to see one another. I want to thank you for coming today and capping off not only 297 shows here, but 29 years of weekly television shows for me. Thank you very much, Chancellor Belk.
And thank you, Carol.
And we'll be back in just a moment with a final word. I hope you don't mind. I am going to take a few minutes to indulge myself in sort of talking to you this last show, but not just about me, but about the importance of this show to a lot of people. I'm going to actually interview someone I've known for 30 years,
Oh,
who I
Lord.
worked with in commercial television, who is my boss here, Jim Adams.
Carol?
He's sort of the one that makes sure the TV station at UNO Television runs from day to day and everything gets done.
Yes.
This show was sort of your conception, but it's important to the university here, isn't it?
It's very important, and the chancellor mentioned earlier some of the 3 goals that the university has that she put in when she first came here. One of them is student enrichment, and that's what we have here, is that Consider This has couple old guys like me kind of organizing things, but we have students behind the cameras, students behind the audio board, students in different buildings here.
In the student center,
Yeah,
talking.
students in the student center. So the thing I'm happiest with is the time that it's helped give the students experience and hopefully carry it on to through their lives.
Well, Jim, you've enjoyed working with the students as much as I have, and I know that that's one of the reasons we do what we do.
Yes, it's a lot of fun, and in fact, someone representing our students here has a little something for you here. If we could bring out Janelle, she's been our floor director for a long time.
She's the one that gives me all my cues.
Yes.
Well,
and
thank you.
this is on behalf of the students, because you have meant so much to them.
They, well, I want to thank you particularly, and now I'd just like to thank. Oh,
You get to hold the balloon.
I will hold the balloon, and that, as I say goodbye, I will be holding your balloon. Thank you so much, everybody. And when it gets right down to it, this ends because of a job I have taken in county government, basically my broadcast career, 30-some years. So you have to understand that it's kind of an emotional day. But the thing is that I have been so blessed to work here in the university, and anyone that works for your state university on any of the 3 campuses will tell you it's all about the students. But one thing this show is about is, and they're not all the most interesting shows, but they're about giving you a chance to hear things that you might not otherwise hear. And that's what we try to do. Some are more fun, many are more serious. And that's been my life's goal. I know Jim, it has been part of his, is to help present information to people that they just won't get in this fast-paced life. So I personally want to thank all of you who have said, you know, I didn't start out watching that show that day, but I kind of grazed into it, and I found something I didn't know. And that's what it's all about. I want to thank NET Television for carrying this statewide. I hope we've reached some of you and made you think twice or 3 times about the important things going on in your city, in your state, in your country, and in the world. Thank you so much for this opportunity. Best of luck to the person that follows in my
Consider This
footsteps.
is an issues and information program produced by UNO Television. More information and program archives can be found at unotv.unomaha.edu. If you'd like to share your comments about this show, call UNO TV at 402-554-2516 during regular business hours.
The 9th season of Consider This is brought to you in part by From the Top, a national program showcasing the musical talents of young people. From the Top can be heard on KVNO Classical 90.7 each Sunday at 5 p.m.